Hey, everybody! It is Tim Gillette, and we're back with another Tim Gillette show. Hey, guys, I have a real good surprise for you today. I'm even surprised because I don't know this person. I'm going to get to know them live on camera. Now, I had a couple seconds in the green room before we went live, but really, this is like what I love the most about interviewing people. After 9 years of doing it, thousands of people I've interviewed. All right, it is so much fun to get to know somebody new when you do this. Today's guest, Leslie is someone we connected. I don't even know. She'll probably tell me how we connected, but she came over. She says, "Yeah, I want to be on the show." We checked her out. Said, "Yeah, this is going to be a good guest." She's got some exciting things going on, and we're going to find out more about them. Let's bring her on screen and see how she's doing. Hello, Leslie.
Hey there.
Hey. So, welcome to my show. All right. No big deal, but like I like to start out usually with like a weird question, like where are you from?
Technically, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, but I live in Jacksonville, Florida now.
Oh, so you even went further south, huh?
Yes.
And like, have you lived in other parts of the country, or is that just like you've lived in two areas?
No, just basically those two areas. I was prior military, so I spent 5 weeks up in Rhode Island. So technically, I had an address there, but I wouldn't call that living there.
Nobody in Rhode Island lives in Rhode Island. Didn't you know that?
I know, right? They all have houses somewhere else, right?
No, they just don't live. I'm sorry. Anyway, I thought Rhode Island was a graveyard for Massachusetts. I wasn't sure.
That's funny.
I've been through the state, I think Rhode Island at least a dozen times. I can't remember, but I don't think I've ever stopped and like gotten gas, had a bite to eat ever. I've driven through it, like straight drive through it every time. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So, but Florida, why'd you pick Florida?
I joined the military when I was 24, and this is where the military put me.
Oh, okay. And when are you still in the military, or if you're out?
No, I was active duty for 3 years. I was a reservist for 5. I got out. My husband is still active duty, so I say I am, but I'm just a spouse.
No, wait a minute. You didn't go into the military to get an MRS degree, did you?
No. To be honest, I always swore I wouldn't marry military. And when I started dating him, I let him know. I was like, I swore I would never marry military. Like, it was not my thing. So.
And he's going around all day today bragging. I got her to say yes to me. Yeah. It's interesting because, how many times we hear people say that, like, I'm not gonna. Yeah. I swore I would never live in Florida or New York. I'm good on my promises. I grew up on the East Coast. So I grew up like Philadelphia area, and I lived in Massachusetts and New Hampshire for a while. I had 2 brothers who actually lived in Florida for quite some time, and I still have 2 nephews who live in Florida. But yeah, I don't think I want to live there. Anyway, but are you there still because that's where your husband's stationed, or is it just that's where you guys think is going to be the permanent home?
Yeah, we're still stationed here, so that's
okay. You guys, if you were looking around other parts of the country when he's done with his service, are you thinking about you might maybe move somewhere else, or you think you'll stay there now?
To be quite honest, I don't know. We still have quite a few years if he decides to retire. He's got like 8 years left or something. So there's so much time left. The deal is that I would move with him for whatever he needed, but when he's done, I get to choose where we land.
That sounds like deals my wife and I make.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I made deals with my wife. Like, we're going to have, we'll live close to your office for now. All right. But when I have extra money, I'm buying someplace wherever I want in the country. And she goes, okay. When you make enough money, you can buy it. Okay.
I love it.
So you only did like 3 years, 3 years, you said you were in the service. And then you got out. All right. Was it then that you started a business of your own, or did you work several jobs to find what you do now?
So I was active duty for 3 years. When I got out, I went reservist for 5. I got a job that's not really worth mentioning. And then my boss actually called me and was like, hey, do you want to come back and work for us again at the Naval Hospital as a civilian? And so less than 10 months later, I landed back in the exact same job that I did, only without a uniform. And then it was during that stint that I decided that I wanted to get out of being at the naval base, solely because, one, I couldn't really see clients the way I wanted to. We could only see them once a month, and results just were not what I like to see. And two, our daughter was about 7 months old, and I was spending like 45 hours at work and an hour travel time both ways. So I was pretty exhausted. He wasn't home. And I just remember the daycare people being like, your daughter would like to see you. And I was like, okay, I'm done. Guilt trip over, feel bad. I'm time to move on. I'll figure something out. And it was around then that I had decided that, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I never gave myself the right timing. So I kind of dabbled for a little bit, but I honestly probably didn't go full force until right before COVID, like February 2020. And I was pregnant with my second, and my daughter was then at home with me. So I decided to like really make entrepreneurship hard and started during COVID, pregnant with a little one at home and my husband in the military. But I'm still here today.
Well, I mean, there's a plus to doing it the way you did it. All right. And now I had several companies before I met my wife, but like we have 2 companies now that have been growing because we don't need the money from them, because my wife has this secure job. She's a COO at a company. All right. It's like she doesn't need, she didn't need to go start her own business. She loves what she does, but she started something to supply retirement in case she wants to retire someday. So that investment money will be there. So we had the security so I could then go off and start 2 companies. And that's a great way to do it. And it's a great angle. We probably just don't think of it that way unless many people who do, they don't have a supportive partner. I guess you have a supportive partner and your husband's like, yes, go do it.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's good. I mean, my wife is very supportive of what I do, very supportive. Actually, she's involved in a lot of my seminars and a lot with my audience and stuff. I almost don't want to bring her by because everybody loves her more than me. But anyway. Yeah. Oh, you froze on me again. It's like your internet keeps freezing. Every now and then I get your face going. Anyway.
At least it's a happy face.
At least you're giving a happy face. All right. That's the hint. You got to smile all the time. Yeah. So when you get out and you decide to start a business, all right, what is it that you went into and why?
So I am a dietitian and a personal trainer. I went into it because I've always been a dietitian. That's what I joined the Navy as. I love what I do, but I chose to do it because I find that right now, when I say it's like, oh, it's another person, I get it. But that's not what I do. Everyone comes to you like piece of paper, diet forward. Like, this is your plan. I don't do any of that. We get there, but what I really help you do is remove patterns, reduce some of the things that you repeat over and over. Why is it that you have the story that you've gained and lost and gained and lost and gained and lost? And I help you break all those patterns so there is no need for a future diet. I started with just doing individuals, and then I started with families, and now I'm working with companies. Like, I work with CEOs and COOs to help their company with a wellness perspective, especially post-COVID. Like, we all know that the number one reason why we would get COVID was because of obesity and overweight. But it's also because, people are, still under that higher stress level right now. People are still worried about things like that. So I started working with companies and businesses so that way they could help their employees. I really like the idea of helping multiple people at one time, but making it also cater to them. And that's something that, employers can't always say. They can give a wellness program and have like Zoom calls, but this is a very individualized thing for all of their employees. So that way they can actually increase the quality of life within their workspace.
Mm-hmm. So now, you're working with a dietitian, as a dietitian, do you work with anything with exercise as well? Or are you incorporating a big wellness package, or is it just the focus of the diet?
Yeah, so it is a combination. Since I'm a personal trainer as well, I do both. I do where, I meet the person or the company where they want it. Do you want just nutrition? Do you want nutrition and fitness? Do you want, something that's really built for you? Do you want to, each goal of a person is completely different. So when somebody comes to me and says, hey, I have this nutrition plan, I say, yeah, I get it. Like, okay, you could Google macros and get your answer, right? Or whatever it is that they're looking for. But if you want something that's really catered to you, that's where I come in, and we build it based on your life. See, everybody parallels their diet and their life, right? It's like, this is me on a diet and this is me living my life. It's not together. And that's part of the reason why we fail. So what I help you do is cross those paths so you get it at the right angle so you succeed in what you're trying to do.
Oh, that's good. I mean, because like I look at my own like diet and my own life, all right, and I eat fairly healthy, but like exercise, like that's my biggest pain is coming up with an exercise program to go with what I do because it's just not me. Now, when I go to the mall, for instance, to go shopping, I'm the guy who parks my car all the way in the back of the parking lot and walks up. And I don't do it because I'm afraid my one car is valuable. It's like, no, I just don't want to deal with crowds trying to find a parking spot. So I park way away and walk, and I get more exercise that way. But that's not, I mean, some people say that's not the only exercise you can get. You should get others. All right. I would love your opinion on that.
Yeah, so I agree with that. It's the thought process of everybody needs some sort of cardio and muscle activity. If we don't use our muscle, we lose our muscle. If we don't work our heart out, then we are not strengthening the heart. The heart is a muscle, right? So you really need a combination of that. But that doesn't mean that you have to go spend, 7 hours in a gym to get a result, or you have to lift, 8 pounds, over and over and over, and do pull-ups or things like that. Those things are wonderful if you want to do them, but everybody's individual workout plan really should be catered to them. 1, where are they at? 2, what are their goals? 3, overall, we do want to strengthen both. So we don't want you to be like, I refuse to do cardio. Okay, well, can we do like some more walking or things like that? Or I refuse to lift weights. Okay, well then let's work on just, body strength ability, because both of those are what is going to, increase longevity overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And do you focus on then, not just the exercise, but creating habits in their life as well? Is that part of your program?
Yeah, of course. So the first thing we do is we stop the bad habits, right? We stop the patterns that we cause ourselves to fail with. And then we start to form new patterns and new habits and new mechanisms of origin. So, instead of like, oh, it's Friday and it's 5:00, so I'm probably just going to, pretend I didn't diet this week and eat chocolate and cake and candy and cookies and 7 margaritas and whatever. We help you break those patterns and still new ones, still enjoy those foods. It doesn't mean like, okay, it's either eat the cake or don't eat the cake. It's okay, let's figure out a middle ground to make it so that way you are in control and you're able to know, I am choosing the cake because I'm hungry for cake, not just because it's 8:00 on a Friday night and I eat cake every Friday at 8:00, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I've gotten a weird thing about this, and like my wife, she does not want like the potato chips and stuff like that because she's like, all that stuff, like really, it goes to her gut. To me, it does. Like stuff like that does. Through the pandemic, I found I got a gut on me, but then I stopped certain things to change that. One of the things I learned to do, Leslie, was I learned to, like, if I got a bag of Doritos, I take one of my bowls out, I put fill the bowl, and then I eat it. Then I put the bowl away and I don't eat more. That's discipline to me. All right. It's like, yeah, I love it, but I don't want to, because I used to take potato chips and eat them until I was sick of them. You know what I mean? And that was like a habit to stop things like that. Do you have clients who are coming in building habits like that and going, this is like stupid, easy, simple, guy, just do this simple thing and it will start you down the path?
Yes and no. It depends. So some people do really well with that. Some people also can then just lie about that, right? So we're still full of those patterns, those beliefs, those things. So it depends. Nutrition isn't straight cut. So sometimes it's like, I'll say I ate 1 bowl of Oreos or 1 bowl of Doritos, but in truth, I actually ate more than that. But I'm not going to tell you that I ate that. I ate more than that because I have some sort of family history where we either like truly believe that we are meant to be big bone, and if we were to get skinny, we'd no longer fit in with our family, or potentially there's some other things there, like you're protecting yourself because you don't want people to see you or think you're beautiful or sexy or anything like that, or it's that, food was deprived from you when you were a kid and you had to fight for it. And now it's like, well, I'm going to keep eating it.
Oh, wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one of the things I put down in my notes here is you're talking over going through the diet, all right, and connecting with people and what's good for them and what they like is, do you do any like laboratory testing or anything on individuals when they come into your program, or is that like way out there?
Yeah, no, so I don't do the labs myself. I do encourage them to get labs from their doctor, obviously, especially because then it'll run through their health insurance. But for me personally, I do every once in a while a food sensitivity test for people, depending on which program they choose to do. Really just can see if there's anything else really playing with things. The big things that I do in some of my other programs is I help them find the right plan for them, as well as take some of those things off their plate. Like I work with very, busy individuals, and sometimes it's like, well, I need somebody to help me plan my meals. Okay. I help them figure out what's best for them in their area, and then I work with those people to alleviate that stress for them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Cool. Well, then now you bring up another key word, planning my meals. When I was single, all right, 2001 to 2000 and 2009 when I met my wife, those years, all right, between wives, shall I say, I was on this thing where I was single, and like half the time I'm a guy who will work, and they're like, oh my God, I'm hungry. I got to come up with food. So I run out to whatever the closest thing is open, grab food, and then came back home. Well, I was trying to find someone who just gave me a plan. So basically I knew I had to come down, pull this out, cook, and eat and do. Now I've got that down. My wife has the food in the house. And when she's not here, it's portioned in a way that 2 nights ago before she got home, I went down, cooked salmon, cook asparagus. All right. Eat it, clean it up, and have everything done 45 minutes tops. That's a meal plan to me. When I hear meal plan, I want it like somebody to go like, okay, Tim, here's your lunch for the day. Like mom used to do. Here's your lunch for the day. This is what you eat. So that, when you said that, it's like, that's the first thing came to my mind. One of the things though that I wanted to go in with you is during 2006 and 2007, I was homeless and I ate off the dollar menu at McDonald's. And most people, I mean, that was about the time that guy came out with that Super Size Me, whatever thing. You remember that? Yeah. And he talked about how bad McDonald's was. And I'm like, McDonald's isn't bad. It's when you take all the food from McDonald's and try to eat it all at once. That's bad. Like I ate $1 McChicken sandwich and $1 McDouble hamburger for lunch, $1 McChicken sandwich and $1 McDouble for dinner. All right. And that's how I lived for 2 years because I could eat for $4.24 with tax every day. Is that planning stuff that you go into, budget, all right, and stuff like that?
Yeah, of course. So that all comes into play depending on where people want to go. Just how you said meal plan. To some people, they'd be happy with the meal plan where like, okay, this is what we're eating. We're going to cook all these things and do this. When you say 45 minutes, a lot of families are like, I'm out, right? I don't have 45 minutes for that. My son screams every time I cook dinner. So it's not pleasurable. If I had to cook for 45 minutes, I'd probably I don't know, I'd have to wear earbuds or something. But anyway, so meal planning can be all sorts of things. It can be that. It can be, how do we eat the pizza? How do we, put the McDonald's in? When people meal plan and they do things like, okay, I'm going to eat this exact list this week and nothing's going to derail me. But if they're a family or if they're busy, did it kick me out? Yeah. Okay, good. It just circled on my, or they need to have those individual things. I help them plan those things to reach their goals. There's no reason why you couldn't eat McDonald's. There's no reason why you couldn't eat the pizza or put any of those things into play. But it is something that you have to think how to utilize that. And that's where someone like a dietitian comes in, because we make sure you're still getting all your nutrition, all the needs that you need to meet the goals. You want to run a marathon? Great. Let's do that. And let's still live the life that we want to live. When people think of a diet, it's like they're trying to achieve a goal, right? Oh, I'm just trying to lose the weight. Okay, well, if that's it, then there's no real big reason here. Why do you want that, right? Mm-hmm. When people say they want to lose weight, there's a bigger picture out there. Like they want to have a better life. They want to, sign more clients if they're an entrepreneur. They want to move up in the scale of work. And they're viewing that if they could get themselves to this new health status, they'd be able to achieve that, right? That's how people are successful. When people are like, oh, it's bad for me, so I'm going to avoid McDonald's, but that's their favorite place to go, they're eventually going to fail. Like, you just set a goal in your head that, like, if that's the favorite thing that you have, saying no to it, you're not going to be like, I'm never going to eat it again, and really cut it cold turkey. It's just like, if you tell yourself you're not going to watch TV and you have a TV in every room of your house, you probably won't make it very long, right? Like, you have to set yourself up in the right surroundings and in the right mindset in order to achieve those goals.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I have had in my life was, and my wife doesn't get this, is like, she was in Weight Watchers for many years and worked as what do they call one of the hostess, or I don't know what they call them in Weight Watchers, and when she met me, I was a different breed than most of the women she was with in Weight Watchers, in the fact that I eat because I'm hungry. When I'm not hungry, I stop eating. All right. You know what I mean? So I eat, cook my food, eat it, and go on with my day. Whereas they have gotten food to be like a habit or or something that they're addicted to, right? They do because they need to pass time. And to me, it's just not that way. I'm hungry, I go grab a snack and eat. I'm hungry, I go grab my lunch and come back. Have you dealt with people who they have an eating disorder where basically they just want to have something to do with their hands, putting food to their mouth?
Yeah, of course. So that's kind of like disordered eating.
Yeah.
Lots of types of disordered eating. There's binge eating, there's, constant snacking, there's emotional eating, there's social eating, there's, all those different types of anorexia, bulimia, all those kinds of different disorders. I do work with those. That's where my mindset dieting really comes into play. Yeah. That this all starts with your mind. If you really want this big picture that you see yourself achieving, like, we have to start with your mind and then work our way through the systems to get you to that picture you're looking for.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So now the other thing I learned, at that time that I was, like I told you, that homeless time, I was working for Starbucks as a barista, and I learned taste for the first time in my life, right? I did not understand taste. Where, like, I sip a certain coffee and I eat a certain piece of pastry with it. And I understand why that pastry goes with that coffee, grown in that region, why the taste is in that coffee because it's grown in that region, all that stuff, to where I love tasting things. As a matter of fact, I'm starting a podcast with a friend of mine in Oregon in November. It's alcohol tasting and food pairings. It's just like, yeah, the idea behind it is tasting and understanding taste. Now, that being said, I have a taste for tons of alcohol. I could drink you under the table and still be the sober guy. I don't do that anymore because I don't like the hangover feeling the next day, but I do like to taste it, right? I have a moonshine bar in my office, by the way.
That's awesome. I saw the drink and I thought, is he drinking a mimosa? Because that sounds delicious.
No. This is my green iced tea lemonade. I make it myself.
Okay.
That's pretty much all I drink. That's actually one of my old bottles of moonshines up there in the corner, if you can see it. So yeah. Yeah. I am a moonshine fanatic, but like, I love the taste of bourbons. Food tastings and food pairings got really, really good to me. And that's not a binge thing, but that's like a whole other hobby to get into. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah. Is that something that you have put that experience together as part of your program with dietitian, going, well, let's taste foods and find out what you really like?
So I haven't yet. No, I did have to do that when I went to school to become a dietitian. We got to do some of those cool things. I was also a barista at Gloria Jean's. It used to be a coffee shop here in the States. It's still in Australia. But yeah, I loved that.
Gloria Jean's. Believe it or not, I've heard of it.
I loved it. Oh my God, it was so great. I didn't like it the first 2 weeks because you smelled so much like coffee, but then after that, you just lost the smell of it, right? But I agree. That's when I could really start to taste like, oh, there is butter toffee in this coffee. Like, just drinking a black, I can taste the butter toffee. That was really cool. But I haven't done things like that. I do have, like, in that mindset, in that mindful way, it is one of those things that I'm like, are you, like, about your food when you're eating it? Are you really enjoying it? Or is it just that this is the thing you're doing right now? It's that to motion of like, I really do want this slice of pizza, but I really only want one. Maybe I don't really want 7 slices of pizza. Yes. But sometimes it's like, okay, I'm just going to keep eating because other people are eating. So then all of a sudden you're like, holy cow, I ate the whole pizza and I was eat more than a slice. So what happened? So it's more of a conscious awareness about what you're doing. And that does go along with the tasting. One of the biggest things there, and you kind of addressed it too with what you said with the food and wine tasting, is that you like to taste it, not like over consume it. We only refer to the last bite of anything we eat. So if you eat slower, your body gets more of a connection to it and you're very satisfied. But when you're eating, you really only pay attention to the first and the last bite. It's not something that, like, while you're eating throughout, it's not a very conscious thing you do. You're just like, okay, I've had the bite, now I'm eating. And then when it's almost gone, you're like, oh my God, it's almost gone. I can't believe it's almost gone. And it was so good. You say that, and then you go back for more, solely because in the middle, you didn't really process that you were consuming it.
Wow. Yeah, that's a mind blower. Right there's a mind blower for me. All right. I never really thought about that, but you know, now that you've mind blown me on that one, I'm gonna have to really think through that, because it makes me want to taste more. Like the greatest thing we love doing on Saturdays is every now and then my wife does like this tapas stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Where she'll just make all these little appetizers and we'll munch on them and taste a couple different wines. And one of the things that we did during the pandemic, we were so sick of being inside, we created an international wine and food tasting inside our condo.
Nice.
So basically, like one room, we had it set up with like wines and foods from like, New Zealand. And we did another one was like, West Coast California, Texas wines, things like that. And we broke it up just to make the day interesting, because like after about 2 months of that's all we did was see each other. You know what I mean?
I can't imagine.
Yeah, you want something to break up your day, because like you wake up, you're there all day with each other, and then you go to bed. But it was different for us, as opposed to before the pandemic, we were two people who traveled all the time. That's why we have a condo, is because we were never home, right?
Yeah.
Why pay for a house that we're never here at? So yeah, we were always traveling. So that's things that we did as far as tasting and learning things like that as far as taste and experiences. Now, my wife, as we referred to earlier, as you know what I mean, we make deals like you and your husband did with the thing, is when we got the condo, all she wanted was, we gutted this condo when we bought it. We lived in another condo in a complex. We bought this one and gutted it to fix it the way we wanted it.
Nice.
The deal was she got to have the kitchen she wanted, and I can do whatever else I wanted with the rest of the house.
Wow, I like that deal.
Yeah, it was. All right. It's good. Yeah, because I personally didn't care about the kitchen. All
Right.
I want to do is have the stove work, the microwave work, and the refrigerator to keep the food cold. That's all I cared about, right? So yeah, we made that deal. So now she has a kitchen designed, and our design into it, like it was like this was like a little island that comes out from the wall down there, and the sink was in it. She moved the sink to the wall and then made this island area, a wide island area. So when her kids come over, that's a whole area. We have food laid out all over for everybody to just walk up and taste.
Nice.
And we create an experience with it. So anyway, that's food and experience for us. We like to do an experiences.
I'd love to know what those tastings and pairings were. I'm like, that sounds amazing. We love wine in this house. I'm like, you should like market those and sell those. I'm totally be game. We do wine tastings a lot here. World Market does a really nice wine tasting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like when you go, it's like 60 or like you got to have a DD for that one if you tasted every single one of them. It's so good. But anyway,
we're members of wineries from Texas through California, Oregon, New Mexico, and
awesome.
Yeah, we get them shipped to us. Like we got ones from like Sacramento, California the other day. It's not Napa, it's north of Napa is where this winery was that we're a member of, and we get it delivered. Well, we have a winery that we go to down by my friend Sandra's house in Austin that she turned me on to. That by the time I get down there, right, they have 3 shipments of wine for me to pick up and bring home. But I also, when I get there, the guy sees me pull in with my truck and he immediately goes and grabs 2 empty cases because he knows I'm going to do a tasting and I'm probably going to buy more wine. And I walk out with 3 cases every time.
Wow. You're a customer.
Yeah, that's why, I keep the wineries in business. So
I love it.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about some of the experiences that you and your husband have created then around food, since you talk about tastings. All right. Is there places you guys have traveled to with, being in service to travel and go, well, let me taste food from different places?
I would love to say that we have. We have not yet. We have been lucky that I moved to Jacksonville, Florida when I joined the Navy. And so far, every time we've had to move, something has changed and we stay. So I know so far I've been lucky in fact. However, we do a lot as well. We traveled more before the kids, and now with the kids, I would say we still travel. We just don't travel as often. But one of my favorite trips that we took was actually when he proposed, and we went to New York, and he had it like all set up. Like I will admit, like I didn't know I was being proposed to, first of all, but he had it set up so much to a T that like we had reservations for each dinner and why we did and where we were going and the food. And then the day after he was going to propose, he set up like a mid-morning brunch because he knew we'd be out way too late celebrating. So he's smart in that aspect. But we went to this place and I will never forget that brunch. It was like you just paid a price to go in. You could try everything on the menu. And they like brought it out with the right type of mimosa or Bloody Mary or whatever. I was like, this is amazing. We talk about that all the time about like when we go back, we're going to that place. I don't even know if it's still open, but it was so good. So yeah, we do like to do things like that. It's a lot of times wine tastings, and I like to try wines from whatever area that I'm at because I'm a big wine person. I don't really drink beer. It's not really something that I enjoy at all. And I will taste a sip of whiskey, but I don't do much whiskey. But we'll do like sometimes you'll get to like vodka places, and I'd like to do those kinds of things. But yeah, I would say we're getting into that a little bit more now that, we don't just like go out in our 20s and, just go to a bar for the purpose of getting hammered or something.
Yeah.
Way early 20s before I even met him, honestly. But yeah, so yeah, I truly enjoy that. And I think that that's something that, really is part of the reason why I started my company, because you hear so many people like, oh, you can't have that. You can't do that. And I call my company Fit and Fabulous Family Nutrition, but I'm actually going to get a fictitious name because I'm calling it Margaritas and Abs, because you really can have a margarita and abs. Like as we're talking about this and enjoying it, that's more of how we stem in our, ability. Like it's driven of, like, we enjoy doing the food tasting. We enjoy doing all those kinds of things, but we also, enjoy our life, but still want to look good. So,
yeah. It's funny because like I'm from the Philadelphia area. So we were back there one time and immediately we get the car and the first place we go is South Philly for cheesesteaks.
Yum.
Gotta go. Gotta get it. You know what I mean? My wife got to experience them, we're in Chicago. Of all places, we go to a hot dog restaurant.
Right.
Like this hot dog restaurant, there was 3 lines to get to the registers to order it. And it's 3 stories of seating. I'm like, now that's a hot dog restaurant, right? But it's experiences that we have in life. And I think when we get caught up in the experiences, and learn to enjoy life, we spend less time doing the things that are ruining our life. Would you agree?
Totally. No, yeah, totally. That's something that I talk to like clients about, and even on phone conversations. Like part of what I say I do is free you of the shame and guilt. Like, oh my God, I ate the Oreo. I'm going to die. I'm going to gain 30 pounds. Like I have to go kill myself in the gym, or like, it's like their whole like pattern. It's just like live, right? When I talk to people, like the goals of that is that the goals of why they either hire me for their company or why they hire me for themselves or for their family is because the ultimate line is that they want to live, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want to live. They want to live free. They want to be happy, and they want to stop feeling like that. Okay, my kid just asked me to eat a bite of the ice cream, but I shouldn't eat that bite of an ice cream. My macros are a certain way. And it's like, the distraughtness inside their brain. And then the funny part is that on the outside, they're saying to their kid, you can eat what you want, you can do what you want. But up here, it's like this massive internal battle. And, that's really why I do what I do, is because that's so real. Like there are so many people that cannot just enjoy themselves in the moment because they're thinking of all the other things that go wrong.
Yeah.
Or like maybe they are healthy and they're fit, but their like husband or significant other or wife or something is just like not so well, and they don't seem to care. And so then they become super restrictive or things like that on top of them. And then it's a very differing kind of thing. So that's where I really love to help. And that's why I really like to help, and like workplaces sometimes too, because it can be like a workplace battle, It's so interesting. And it's part of what I love the most with what I do, is helping in that aspect to give people more life in their years and less worry.
Yeah. Now you say that, all right, and one of the things that I've had to focus on. I have epilepsy. I don't know if I don't know if I told you that, but I have a form of epilepsy, which has me on a medication, and I've had reactions to medications throughout the years. And this whole thing with what's going on now with the vaccine. So I waited till my doctor's appointment I had last month, and I talked to my doctor about it. I said, so like I had COVID. To me, it was nothing. It was a very minor thing for me. I says, I'm worried about getting the vaccine because of reactions I've had to medicine. And you know what she said? Exactly what we were just talking about. She says the mental game is going to cause that vaccine to give you problems. She
100%.
says, what you need to do is she says, you've had COVID. It wasn't a big deal to you. And she says, I'm a doctor. I'm supposed to tell you to go get it, but you need to wait until they show you something that your mind can relax and go, okay, this is good for me now. And I'm like, whoa, like in our world, you'd never think a doctor to excellent, but that's the doctor who's focused on me being a better me. And you just don't cover that in mindset. That's a mindset issue. It's not the drug, it's mindset.
Correct. Totally correct. Yeah. And that's why I said, like, that's why I love to do what I do. And I come from that beginning part of like mindset. Stop with the piece of paper. You want the piece of paper so bad. And I don't know why. Like go online and find some crazy, silly plan that you can, find for free, Google, or go to some, whatever. This is for those, individuals and for those companies that like, they actually want to improve the life of their employees, the life of themselves, the life they actually want to get out of it. And sometimes that is what happens. Like, I'll be like, okay, we're not ready for that step yet. Something else has to come into play. So sometimes we start at different levels, whereas they go in and the thing that they think that needs to change, but this may not be where they're ready to start. So we have to go through a different route to get to that point. And that's when they're like, oh my God, I finally why I didn't start here when I wanted to. And that is like the aha moments. Those are the moments that I love to work with people, because I love to see them transform and see how much they can get the life back, and they can get their, they can get to the place where it's like, I am drinking the margarita and I do have the abs that I want, if that's what they're going for, but overall. So
I want to drink the margaritas, and I want to look like what Arnold used to. I'm like this skinny little guy. I get these tiny little arms. That's why I wear long sleeve shirts. But anyway, that's what I want. But we'll see if I'm ever going to get there.
Well, I'm here if you need me.
Well, Leslie, you've given us a lot of information today, and there are a lot of people who are going to tune into this both now and in the recording in the future. All right, I want them to be able to get a hold of you to take this relationship to find out more about themselves and get their own health in order. What's the best website to reach you?
Yeah, so you can reach me at my website, which is my first and last name, LeslieUrbas.com. When you go there, if you click on the shop, you'll automatically get the pop-up that will allow you to get the free handouts, and then you will be able to get all that free information.
Cool. So, and I appreciate you coming on the show today. You know what I mean? It's been great. You've given me more information on my diet than I've ever thought about asking.
Good.
So, but before you go, all right, I play a game with all of my guests. All right. And here's the game. I have 7 envelopes in front of me. You get to pick 3 envelopes, and in each envelope, there are 3 questions I'm going to ask you out of those. You pick the 3, and we'll start there. 1 through 6.
2, 4, and 5.
2. Wait a minute. Let's go this way. 2, 4, and 5. These ones all go down here, and we open them up one by one. I love this. I used to do it a different way, but I love this way because you may get the man questions and not the female questions, and it's really funny when that happens.
I like it.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite questions. Number 1 question we get to ask you: who was the better lead singer of Van Halen? David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar?
I'm going to go with Sammy.
Okay. I used to like you. No. Next one. All right. Since we were talking coffee shops, which is the better coffee shop, Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks?
Oh, I don't know that I prefer either, but I guess I'll go with Starbucks.
I have a friend who lived in Fort Lauderdale, and this was always an argument for him. And when I visited his town, he would have to drive through at Starbucks to get me my coffee, and then drive through at Dunkin' Donuts to get his coffee. And when he came to my town, I did the same thing because we both refused to drink from the other.
No, I get it. Yeah, I really like a local coffee shop here, and because of that, I'm like, I'll drink Starbucks, but it's not and I will drink Dunkin' Donuts too, but my favorite are like those like mom and pop ones that wind up with like really good coffee.
Yeah, our mom and pop one, I have to go through like 4 miles of construction to get to right now. So Starbucks is a mile down the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I'll lose for a little bit.
Yeah. Question number 3 in here is, which do you like more, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Oh, I gotta admit, I've never seen either.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? Isn't that funny? I think I've seen maybe 30 minutes of both because it's not my thing, but I would go with Star Wars because I think I did actually have to see one of them in theater one time. I just didn't pay attention. I was so bored. I know, right? I know. I lose a lot of people when I say that. My brother-in-law is a very big Star Wars fan. I have somebody that I work with that's a very big Star Wars fan. And I was like, yeah, not really my thing.
Now, I went to a movie like that one time. It was The Cat in the Hat. Do you remember the Cat in the Hat movie? Yeah. I was so bored and angry. I went out and I said, this movie sucks so bad. I want my money back.
That's funny.
Envelope number 4 is the next one you chose. Let's see what our 3 questions are. I'm pretty sure this next one here, you're going to have no opinion on as well, based on previous conversation, but Marvel or DC Comics?
I would go with Marvel. I at least know some of those, so we'll go with Marvel. Yeah.
Right. The next one here is McDonald's or Taco Bell?
I'm going to go with McDonald's. I haven't eaten at Taco Bell in forever.
Taco Bell, actually, when you want I don't know how fresh but they have a lot more salady and vegetables in than a McDonald's hamburger would. So number 3 question in here, a long-time rivalry in the NFL. Which one do you prefer most, the Dallas Cowboys or the Pittsburgh Steelers?
The Dallas Cowboys. I'm not a Pittsburgh fan at all.
I grew up in Philadelphia, so I'm an Eagles fan, and we have 2 favorite teams as Eagles fans. The Eagles, number 1, and number 2, whoever's playing Dallas. That is a funny joke to say when you live in Dallas.
I get it.
Yeah. Number 5, our last envelope. Let's see what our questions are here. Question number 1. To repeat things that we get this one here as a repeat, but yeah. In your house, does the toilet paper go over on the roll or under?
Over.
Okay. I had a girl on here a couple years ago she was asked that question, she said, I'm single. If I go to a guy's house and I'm dating him, after the 3rd date, I go to his house and the toilet paper is under and I change it to over, I break up with him. The relationship's going nowhere. So next one here, you kind of answered this earlier in the show, and that is beer or wine?
Wine.
Yeah. And the last question is Superman or Batman?
I'm going to go with Superman.
Who is the best Superman?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I've really only seen maybe 2 of them, but I really liked, there was the old school show with the, I cannot remember the old school show and the guy that was on.
I can't remember the actor from the old school show, but movies, I'm thinking Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, I would choose him too. Yeah.
But I actually was interviewed on Dean Cain's podcast, who was Superman in the TV show Lois and Clark, and his favorite Superman is Christopher Reeve.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. He actually told me that when I said, well, who's the better Superman? And he goes, well, he said, hands down, he said, Christopher Reeve's better Superman than I was. So, yeah.
Funny.
Well, I appreciate you being on the show. All right. One more time, I want you to repeat for everybody the website so both the audio people as well as the video can hear it and find out more about you.
Yeah. So it's LeslieUrbas.com. And if you go on that page and hit the shop button, you'll get a pop-up to get the free handouts, and you will be able to, they'll download right to your email right there.
Cool. Well, again, I want to thank you taking time out of your schedule today to share with my audience. I do appreciate that so much that you did that for me.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You bet. So to you guys, the audience members, I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. All right. Do me a favor. Go check out Leslie. LeslieUrbas.com and find out what she has to offer. Get your health in shape. This person here will tell you can do it with margaritas. That'd be the person I'd be following if I was me. Anyway, I'm Tim Gillette, and I'll be back with another episode real soon. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.